So today is Thursday, the 27th of July, 2023, and I'm in St. Petersburg in Russia, the second biggest city in Russia, to come and attend the second summit of the Economic and Humanitarian Forum between Russia and African nations. Very exciting for me to be here, sponsored by Rosatom, and welcomed by the Russians, especially at a very interesting time as now, where there's a conflict with Ukraine, where there's issues with the United States and the West, and where Africa is being almost forced by the West to pick a side. I just want to show you guys the inside of this space here, St. Petersburg in Russia. It's going to be a lot of talks, a lot of speeches, nuclear, manufacturing, increasing trade with African nations. As you would know, Russia is very keen to grow its economy, especially with some of the issues that the West, the United States of America, has been having with BRICS, gaining a stronghold. BRICS looking to increase their membership. I think maybe close to 40, if not over 40 states that are looking to join BRICS as well. As you can see, the people that sponsored our trip, Rosatom, very thankful to them, very thankful to Ros Congress, which is a state entity. And this is the Expo area. A lot of media personnel, met amazing people from South Africa, of course, met amazing people from the rest of the African continent, places like Burundi, places like Kenya, places like Zambia, Ghana, Nigeria represented. And of course, there's media from various parts of the world. There's Russian media as well. Very interesting time. It's my first time in Russia, by the way, so I'm quite excited. Look, it's not Moscow, but for people that don't know, St. Petersburg actually used to be one of the capital, or used to be the capital city of Russia at some point before they moved it to Moscow. Just taking you guys on this journey so that you can experience what I'm experiencing as well. Get to travel vicariously through me. And I was trying to think of what agenda I'm going to be pushing while I'm here. But I just decided that I'm actually going to be an observer. I'm just going to be observing, hearing what people have to say, seeing the type of work that some of the media is doing, listening to some of the thoughts. Of course, there's going to be a lot of propaganda, not just here, but around the world about this gathering. The African nations, I believe the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, is going to be here, along with our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Umamunaledi Pandor. And then hearing some of their thoughts as well. And look, with mainstream media, they're probably going to do a couple of interviews where people are going to be asking them their opinions. And yeah, they're going to be sharing. And I think when I get back to South Africa, I'm going to sit down and hopefully take some time to pen some of my thoughts and then make a video sharing some of my thoughts around the summit itself, around some of the issues around Africa, the West, BRICS, Russian propaganda on the one side, and then propaganda against Russia on the other side, and then the agenda for Africa. What is Africa's agenda? What is South Africa's agenda in all of this? Very, very beautiful. Of course, the Russian ladies are beautiful, but I'm actually talking about the summit. Pen you all the black pen. I think it's also pretty dope that they're starting to let social media and alternative media have a presence in these spaces. You guys can see some of these big cameras that a lot of the mainstream media guys have. I'm walking around with my cell phone, filming this content to share with you. Oh, energy is going to be a very big conversation as well. Gas, oil, the move to alternative energy. South Africa currently is pushing for alternative and green. A lot of other South Africans are having issues with that type of agenda because they're saying, look, we have a lot of coal. Why is the West pushing us to move away from coal, and yet they want to import our coal and use it? Places like Germany, places like the US, state-owned Gazprom, I believe. Very friendly people here, man. I won't lie, the hospitality's been amazing. From when we left South Africa to being here, and everyone that's been hosting us. Special shout out to Eva, Igor, Anna. Their hospitality has been absolutely amazing. And then there's going to be meeting rooms that I'm going to be attending or visiting to listen to some of the key speeches or the key talks that are going to be had with panelists and various people. Just giving you guys a snapshot of all the visuals that I'm seeing on my side. One of the cool conversations that are going to be held is around sports. Strengthening sporting relationships between Russia and other African nations. I'm sorry if I'm walking too fast. I'm just trying to capture as much of the space that you guys can see in the shortest amount of time. Dope. Really dope exhibitions. Oh, for those of you who may not know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter don't work in Russia. They've been banned as media sources or media platforms. YouTube does work, which is pretty dope. YouTube works, TikTok works. Our emails, of course, Gmail, Yahoo work. Yeah, but Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, unfortunately don't work. WhatsApp luckily works, so we can still connect. Unlike in China where WhatsApp, Google products, Facebook products don't work. And you literally have to use Chinese platforms, which is pretty dope from a patriotism perspective, but it's quite inconvenient for the rest of us who are obviously suckers of Western platforms. Grain, very big conversation, especially with some of the issues that Russia's been having recently with grain and food security talks. And I think one of the things they've said is they want to increase their grain exports to the African continent.
Это тоже, да, страна, потому что не вступить.
Russian food and beverage. By the way, here in St. Petersburg, which is essentially a port city, they manufacture ships, they manufacture so many different things here, which normally makes me very jealous when I think from a South African perspective. But what's pretty dope is I met a gentleman from South Africa who works for a company in Durban that actually manufactures ships. And we were speaking about how we actually manufacture a lot of things in South Africa, but the media doesn't cover it. When I think of the Paramount Group, Ivor Ichikovitz, Paramount, who manufacture weapons, defense materials, these guys manufacture ships in Durban. I remember there was DCD, I think, which was taken over by TMH, Ego Rulen in the East Rand, where they manufacture trains and train parts. And I remember bumping into a gentleman in Boksburg in the East Rand of South Africa who was specifically speaking about how they manufacture trains in the company that he works for. These are the stories we don't speak about. These are the things we don't inspire young people to do, to say, look, in South Africa you can learn how to build ships, you can learn how to build airplanes, you can maybe manufacture your own containers, we can create our own technology. We can manufacture our own phones, our own cars. How do we do that so that we're not too reliant on the West, being America, being Europe, and we don't rely too much on the East, being the Chinas, the Japans, the South Koreas? You know, we need our own vehicles, we need our own cell phones, we need our own whatever it is that we need to sustain. Some of the work that had been done by the controversial apartheid government, you know, the setting up of Expo so we can beneficiate our own iron ore into steel products. Eskom, of course, with our own electricity. Arms Corps manufacturing our own weapons. Some of those conversations need to be held again of how do we reinvigorate those industries? How do we manufacture for self? How do we create? How do we become self-sustaining and not become beggars? I think that's going to be one of my criticisms of a lot of the African leaders, that they constantly have to pick between the West and some of the BRICS leaders, specifically Russia and China, because they themselves don't have a united agenda to say, what is our agenda for Africa? How do we have a voice? How do we get the rest of the world to come to Africa and beg to be on our side? Why are we constantly begging to be on one of their sides and constantly treating ourselves as inferior beings? It's quite upsetting for people like myself, and again, it needs to be a conversation that we have. And if we're going to be doing some types of partnerships and deals, it must be the types of partnerships and deals where we are allowing certain companies, businesses, nations to come into our countries, but then it must be for them to impart skills, to impart resources so that they can help us become strong and stand on our own in future. Otherwise, it does not make sense. at all. So yeah, man, just giving you guys a snapshot of the Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum Summit, St. Petersburg in Russia. 27th of July, first day, tomorrow, 28th of July, 2-day summit, and then should be done. And hopefully, if you keep your eyes glued to the media, mainstream, for some of us who are on alternative social media, hopefully you'll get updates, share some of your thoughts. I just worry that we're probably not going to be hearing a lot of the very, very controversial stuff being raised. But if it is, I think that would be very, very interesting. I think that would be very interesting to hear about the conflict, to hear about potential sanctions, to hear about the moving away from the American dollar, some of the controversial thoughts around energy and the future of energy in South Africa, in Africa, and in the rest of the world. I think I'm going to end it here for now. Penuel the Black Pen. I'll try and make a few other videos later and then update you guys. Hope you're having a great day. Penuel the Black Pen coming to you from St. Petersburg in Russia, in Europe. Again, want to send a big shout out to Rosatom, the sponsors of us coming through. I want to send a big shout out to Ross Congress in Russia, and everyone else who's been involved in ensuring that we've had a pleasant stay and that we're here to come and be involved in setting the agenda, having the conversations that are shaping the world. And for a boy like myself, Mfano Senyukasela in KZN in South Africa, who's now based in Johannesburg, to have the privilege to come here and represent myself, my family, represent other South Africans, black South Africans, to represent Africans, and to come and make sure that our voices are being heard, to make sure that we're documenting our stories, documenting what we see and what we think, and having these conversations and seeing if with certain world leaders we can influence them to look into the spaces that they may be not looking. And for a person like myself who is on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, etc., it is for you guys to, in the comments, pen, what are you seeing, what's happening, give me suggestions, give me questions I must ask, and tell me what agenda we should be setting for ourselves, specifically in South Africa and on the African continent, and to try and shape a better world. There's no reason why Russia, there's no reason why Japan, there's no reason why China, there's no reason why the United States of America, there's no reason why Germany shouldn't be listening to us and taking directive from us and getting ideas from us and watching us lead in certain spaces. It is our time to shine, and I'm thankful that I get to have a voice in this time as well. Catch up with you guys again soon. Penuel, the Black Pen. Cheers.